Hi, Lex Meredith here. I just wanted to take a quick moment to do, I guess, kind of a video dialogue or a video article, I suppose, that explores long-term benefits of customer retention. Because I see that a lot. Not enough companies put enough emphasis on customer retention, and customer acquisition is one of the most expensive things that a business can spend money on. And I want to do this case study, and I'm going to keep everything completely factual to make sure that I don't get sued for slander. But I'm going to keep this case study on a situation that I recently had personally regarding the Nissan brand. And we'll start from the beginning. So I've been a Nissan guy for my entire life. I started out in sales long before I ever owned any companies. I started out in sales with Nissan, Victory Nissan in Mechanicsville when I was 18 years old. Seems like a lifetime ago. I'm almost 33 now. But I started with the brand, truly believed in the brand at that time. Had good leadership within the store. Sales manager, general manager was Kenny Dunn. He was a great dude. Trained me in a lot of things, set me on the path to success in the rest of my sales career. But that's not relevant to the story, so we're just going to leave it at that. Ever since then, I've owned, I believe, 6 different Nissans or 7 different Nissans. I've got 2 of them in the driveway right now. One of them in the shop, which is the one that I'm talking about, which is my 370Z Roadster convertible, which, yeah, I had a 350Z, didn't have any problems with it. And then once I bought this 370Z, there's been major issues with it. First, I had to replace some of the hydraulics and whatnot in the clutch system. I think that was about a $1,500 repair. And then the top system for it stopped latching in the front. So I thought it was probably just a sensor or perhaps the latch assembly or something like that. Anyway, this was back in like Marchish. It's November now, just to give you an idea, and it's still in the shop. But this was back in Marchish, or maybe before January, February, probably February, March, right when it was time to start using the top. And I had just purchased the car a few months before. So anyway, it was convertible season rolling in. I was excited. This was my second or third convertible at this point in time, and I love convertibles. I'm about to bounce over to probably a Z06 Chevy instead of the other convertibles that we were looking at. But anyway, so I put the car in the shop. Here's the timeline of how it rolled out. And then we'll talk about how this is going to affect Nissan long-term customer retention wise and customer acquisition wise, because both of those are extremely expensive propositions for a company. So send the car to the shop. My shop doesn't know what to do with it because it's a top issue. So I say, not a problem. My shop takes extraordinarily good care of the car. Normally, I get the oil changed every 3 to 4,000 miles, which is far below what it's supposed to be changed at. I think the recommended mileage is 4,500. And I get all the fluids flushed and everything done to that car that needs to be done to it pretty regularly. Shop is excellent. Shop says, I can't handle it. I say, okay. I send it over to Nissan Store 1. Now, this Nissan store is Shihi Nissan on Broad Street. Okay. They keep the car for roughly about 4 weeks, all the time telling me that they don't really know what's wrong with it and they don't know how to fix it. So let's send it out to a top specialist. So we send it out to a top specialist. Top specialist says 2 hydraulics need to be rebuilt. We send the hydraulics off to be rebuilt. Oh, let's stop there. Okay, 2 hydraulics need to be replaced was the initial assessment of the problem. Great, no problem. Hydraulics, how much could those be? 5, 6, 7, $800, right? Here's the problem. I went to Nissan to discuss the hydraulics. All right, well, guess what? You cannot get those hydraulics individually. You have to buy the entire top assembly system, or at least part of the entire top assembly system, for $4,500. So I decided not to do that. We're going to go ahead and rebuild them. There's a company in Oregon that rebuilds them. Send the hydraulics out to the company in Oregon. They get them rebuilt. Top's going up and down fine again. No problems there. But again, it's still not latching in the front. So we send it to Nissan store number 2. This Nissan store is Shihi Nissan in Mechanicsville, Virginia. Now, this Nissan store has no clue what they're doing on this car. Firstly, they've had the car now for about 6 months. Top's still not doing what it's supposed to do, but now it's got all sorts of other problems. They keep calling me with new shit that needs to be replaced on it. First, it was a computer that was $2,700. They told me that was absolutely going to fix the problem. So I said, all right, let's do that. So we did that, $2,700. And there was another couple of things that were a couple $1,000. Then they told me it was just the sensor problem and it wasn't latching right, so they're going to reprogram it. That didn't fix it. So finally, I get fed up, man. At some point in time during this ordeal, my service advisor stops communicating with me for months, like a month, 3, 4, or 5 weeks. I call, I leave probably 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 messages with the service department. I demand at the front desk to speak to somebody in the service department because I can't get anybody on the phone. The receptionist can't get anybody on the phone. So finally, I leave a bad message on Nissan corporate site. Now, on Nissan's Facebook page. Now, here's what happened the first time I did that. They told me to call corporate and corporate would help. So I called corporate. When I called corporate, corporate sent me from department to department, from person to person, and nobody knew what to do and nobody could do anything. So I said, screw this. I'm dealing directly with the dealership. Anyway, go back to the dealership. Dealership will not call me back. Days turn into weeks. Weeks turn into a month. Finally, I leave another nasty, scathing review on Nissan's Facebook page, and they tell me to call corporate again, and I call corporate. Now this time, since I was a little bit more of an asshole, I think this time, corporate paid a little bit more attention, and the girl calls me back. I'm going to hold your hand through this entire ordeal, Mr. Meredith. No problem. Thank you so much. I know this is a very expensive car. I know it's been a very expensive and time-consuming ordeal. I'll make sure that you get your car back as soon as possible, and I'm going to hold your hand until this situation is resolved through to the end. Sounds great, right? Okay, I just want my car back, so I'm holding on to hope that she's not lying to me like everybody else has lied to me at this point in time. Wait till you hear the cost that's coming up at the end of this story, too. This is beautiful. So anyway, corporate calls the store starts communicating with corporate. They won't call me back, but they'll freaking call corporate back, no problem, right? Because they can't communicate with a customer, but they can communicate with corporate. Anyway, so corporate communicates with me. Okay, sir, it's going to be about a week. We need to replace yet another part. So they replace the part. Now, parts replaced, still can't get the top to do what it's supposed to do. Now they send their engineers out, and their engineers deem that the top is unserviceable. Whatever they've done to the top in between the time that they've got the top and now has made this top completely unserviceable. Rivets are stripped, and that you just can't do anything with it. So now I need a new top. And at this point, this is when corporate girl calls me and says, hey, Mr. Meredith, I just want to call you and I got to ask you, the bill right now is at about $5,000, and I just need to confirm your ability to pay. Let me ask you a question, sister. If I knew what the bills were and they were disclosed to me every time I authorized a part to be put on that car, you would probably think that I would know what my freaking bill was at this point in time, right? The last thing that you need to do to a customer when he has been without his car for almost 10 freaking months, is ask them, hey, can you pay for it? Yes, I can pay for it. No problem. Now, guess what? Corporate at that point in time says, well, look, we've sent our engineers out. Engineer says the top needs to be completely replaced, right? Completely replaced. And at this point in time, we're going to close your ticket because we're done. We can't do anything else for you. Okay, so much for holding my hand until the end of this debacle, right? Anyway, so just today, and this is a week and a half later because I've been calling and texting these service advisors. Just today, I get a call back from the guy, and he says, I just want to let you know, corporate is willing to take care of the $5,000 bill for you, but here's the kicker. The top replacement, including labor, is going to be $27,000, $27,000, right? Okay, that's going to sting the pocket a little bit because that all has to come out of pocket. There's no more remaining warranty. The thing's at 70,000 miles now instead of the 60,000 it would have needed to still be under warranty. But so that's going to sting a little bit, right? So $27,000 for a top. Now, let's do some math on this, okay? Because that car brand new, was 50 grand, maybe. 50, actually a little bit below because that's when they were still in the mid 40s for the top level roadsters. So probably $45,000, $46,000, $47,000, right? You're telling me that half of that car's value is in the top. That's what you're telling me right now. Half of that car's value, $20,000 21 or 22,000, which is the actual quote they gave me on this thing today. $22,000 of the $48,000 of that car's worth when you rolled it off the assembly line was in the top. That is bullshit. Absolute bullshit. I promise you that. I can buy an engine for this car. An engine for this car for less than that. That is absolutely absurd. So, anyway, I'm not really sure where I'm going to go from here. I may end up just keeping that car as a top-down only car and driving an SUV as a everyday driver. I thought this thing was going to be my everyday driver just like the 350Z was, but I need an SUV anyway, so I may just go get the car back. But at some point in time, all of the work that was done on the Nissan that didn't need to be done is going to need to be compensated, which they said that they would compensate for that. But if not, that's going to end up in small claims court at some point in time, and Nissan's going to have to defend themselves. But let's talk about the effects of that moving into the future for Nissan, right? Because I'm just one customer. How much damage could I possibly do to this brand? This established worldwide brand. Well, it's quite a lot. You don't really understand. In today's social media, like if I was pissed off 20 years ago, I'd tell my neighbors. My neighbors might tell their friends. And it's very unlikely that it would get to the third level with friends telling friends, right? But nowadays, I can create a YouTube video displaying my complete disdain for this company at this point in time. And that YouTube video, much like in my business, my YouTube videos work as 24-hour-a-day salespeople, day in and day out. Pop, 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 pop. They're continually running. Somebody searches something about how to buy a business, how to sell a business. Some of my YouTube videos might pop up, okay? 24 hours a day. Same thing I can do here. YouTube video, 370Z, sports cars. Put all the little tags in there that'll make it pop up anytime somebody searches sports car on YouTube or 370Z on YouTube or Nissan on YouTube. Now I'm working as a salesperson 24 hours a day, but in the wrong direction, okay? Social media, Facebook. I have access. I can go on a Nissan's Facebook page and I will post and can post every day for the remainder of my eternity if I choose on their Facebook posts. When they post a post, I'll just copy and paste what I've already said over and over and over again. How many sales is that going to lose them? It might lose you one sale today. Might lose you 5 or 10 sales in a week. There's 52 weeks in a year. Now we're looking at 1,000 sales just off of Facebook. How many are you losing off of YouTube? The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in written form. And I've got a client list and a potential client list of all opt-ins that request to get this case study newsletter from me or this business newsletter from me every month. And there's 40,000 of them, 41,200 and some change. I looked at the numbers this morning. And out of that, I get about an 83% open and read rate. How many people is that? Okay, so take this into consideration when you're building your brand, when you're building your company. You need to resolve issues quickly, because while I may or may not pay to get this top fixed, which is probably not going to happen. I don't think I'm going to pay to get this top fixed. I think it's going to be a top-down car for the rest of its life, which is fine. It's still a very fun car to drive. I'll just put a car cover over it and store it in the garage. No big deal. But while I may or may not pay to get that top fixed, Nissan will pay for the experience that I've had. And if I put if I put a number onto it, I'm going to do my best to cost them 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 sales and over $100 million in revenue. And one customer can do that. One customer can get in front of 100,000 people very, very quickly in today's social media age. And that's just the way it is. So use this. It's a lot cheaper to keep customers that are loyal to your brand as it is than it is to acquire a new customer. And corporate, although they're washing their hands of this situation, corporate saying, well, we're not responsible really, that the service techs don't know what they're doing. Absolutely, 100% you are. You fly their franchise flag, or you fly your franchise flag at that store, you certify them, you train them, and you tell your Nissan customers that buy your cars from the manufacturer that they are certified to work on the cars. I have never heard of a car taking 10 months and not being able to be repaired. I've never heard of it. Not in my entire history of walking the face of the planet, which has only been about 33 years. but I'm never going to hear about it again. I promise you that. This is going to be the only time I'm ever going to hear of a car taking 10 months to get fixed. But anyway, use that because that can cost this company hundreds of millions of dollars in sales and gross sales. And out of that, their total profit loss, 10, 20 million, 30 million, somewhere in that range. Is it going to hurt their pocketbook? It's going to hurt their pocketbook probably as much as the $27,000 and the $5,000 hurts my pocketbook. It's going to be enough to sting, but it's not going to be enough to cripple this company. But it'll be enough to know that I was there. So that's the story. That's the warning, and that's the message to all of those who run companies, much like my own. You have to take care of issues when the issue becomes an issue. You cannot let it grow to this point. I have never, I don't even complain at restaurants. I have never made a negative video about a company before. But here we sit today because this is the level that corporate has let it blossom to. If they would have said in the beginning, hey man, $4,500, $5,000, need to get that entire top replaced, I would have done that. Nobody would have ever heard from me. I'm not asking this company to pay for repairs. I'm not asking this company to cover. Now I am. I'm asking them to pay for 100% of it because of the experience that I've had. But I was not asking the company in the front end to pay for any repairs. Now, if they want to do some damage control, they're going to have to pay out of pocket to get my repairs done for me and get a top thrown on. But anyway, it is what it is. Thanks for listening.